Hello and welcome to the Formula WINOL podcast. We're gonna discuss. So occasionally we make sort of references to football because we're all football fans here. We thought we'd discuss that big news first, even though it's totally irrelevant to motorsports. But nevertheless, it's a big thing to talk about. The formation of this Super League as such. I'll let Ed go first because he's a Chelsea fan, and to be fair, Chelsea are probably the biggest English team other than Man United. Out of our three teams, they're probably the biggest deal. Because they've just invested in a new manager.
I thought you were just going to end at a biggest English team.
Well, I did have a point to get to, but
in the 2000s decade, we actually are the most successful.
I would argue that Chelsea are the biggest deal because they've just brought in a new manager. Klopp is entirely against the Super League, and Spurs have sacked their manager.
Tuchel said like 5 years ago he'd back it. That's the problem.
Oh really?
I saw someone quite
Chelsea in the mud.
There's a tweet from back in the day, but
Ryan Mason said Jose Mourinho was the best manager of all time, and now he's replaced him. So club legend.
But anyway, for me, the problem with it is, like, in terms of from a Chelsea fan's perspective, I'm glad in the sense that we weren't one of the clubs who wanted it. It's come out that Chelsea and Man City, they've only joined because they didn't want to be the only clubs left in a reformed Premier League with no big clubs. That's why apparently we in City have come across.
I don't think that's true. I don't see why you wouldn't want to be in that though, because you're still getting television revenue. You're basically then in a 2-horse fight every season for the league.
I think that's the problem. They say the Premier League would become a farmers' league.
But it was before. It always was Man United versus Chelsea for like 3 years.
No, I think having an established Big Six was why the Premier League was one of the best European leagues.
Oh yeah. When they said Big Six at first, I immediately thought Leicester instead of Arsenal.
I thought Leicester instead of Spurs. No.
No, you couldn't put Arsenal in there instead.
Well, Arsenal have won trophies.
Arsenal are 11th.
And 9th.
They have history, but then so do like Everton.
They celebrated ecstatically for.
History goes back to ancient, evolution. 1961 is history.
What recent history? Whatever you want to call it.
You're telling me Man City weren't there when Jesus was born? Fake club.
They have
a Jesus in their team.
He's not great.
So yeah, I think for me, I think the Super League is an awful idea, but I'm glad that we aren't like the Liverpools, the Real Madrids, the Man United owners who are forcing it and want it to actively want it to happen. Yeah, I'm sad. Football's pretty much not worth it for me anymore if this goes through. Yeah. I feel like it's not going to. I've always since this whole thing's blown up, I've had the suspicion there's only like one Real Madrid account that's tweeting all these news articles and stirring the pot, and they've given some sources, but I've never seen that stuff in the actual sources. And there've been loads of like verified journalists on Twitter saying this isn't true. Stuff like that. So I feel like there's
a lot of fake news going around.
Yeah, I think it's just all scaremongering to me.
Yeah. It's another reason why F1 is better than football.
Yes,
to bring it back onto the.
Well, we essentially we were. The Premier League had put out
At them, but that's irrelevant.
Thank you for listening to the Formula WINOL podcast. We've done, as you can heard, a bit of a quick update on the Super League situation. We'll have a review for the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix. We'll probably do that as a combined episode with the preview for the Portuguese Grand Prix. If you enjoyed, thank you. Give it a like, subscribe, and we'll see you next time.